Today we present to you part 1 of Knowledge and Wisdom, selections from On Thoughts and Aphorisms by the Mother, Vegetarian, as we continue our inner journey of self-realization. Mira Alfasa, who became known as the Mother or Shrima, was born in 1878 in Paris, France. Although she showed great artistic, musical, and writing talent at an early age, her real interest was the spiritual side of life. Based on her inner experience and guidance by a saint she later recognized as Sri Aurobindo, she traveled to India in 1914, where she met him for the first time.
As soon as I saw Sri Aurobindo, I recognized in him the well-known being whom I used to call Krishna, and this is enough to explain why I am fully convinced that my place and my work are near him in India.
Sri Aurobindo conferred the title of the Mother in recognition of her embodiment of the principles of the Divine Mother. When the decision was made to create an ashram in 1926, Sri Aurobindo entrusted all the spiritual and material tasks of running the ashram to the Mother. For the next 50 years, under her loving guidance, the ashram developed into a spiritual center for truth seekers. The Mother went on to found 2 more organizations, the Sri Aurobindo International Center of Education, offering courses from kindergarten through university level, and a visionary community called Auroville, or the City of Dawn. The Mother also developed an extensive series of spiritual writings. These highlight a goal of ultimate union with the divine, along with becoming master of ourselves and our destiny. Shining through all of her work is the Mother's love and devotion to God. Though she left her body in 1973, the 17 volumes of collected works of the Mother forever serve as a shining guidance and inspiration for spiritual seekers. The following passages come from the Mother's book, On Thoughts and Aphorisms, where the Mother expounds on the following quote by Sri Aurobindo. There are 2 allied powers in man, knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is so much of the truth seen in a distorted medium as the mind arrives at by groping. Wisdom, what the eye of divine vision sees in the spirit. Someone has asked me, why are the powers allied? I suppose that we are so used to seeing all the elements in man quarreling among themselves that the idea of their being allied causes astonishment. But these quarrels are only apparent. All the powers which come from the higher regions are in fact necessarily allied. They are united. They have agreed to fight the ignorance. And Sri Aurobindo says clearly enough, for those who understand that one of these powers belongs to the mind and that the other belongs to the spirit. This is precisely the profound truth that Sri Aurobindo wants to reveal in his aphorism. If the mind tries to obtain the second power, it is unable to do so, since it is a power that belongs to the spirit and arises in the human being together with the spiritual consciousness. Knowledge is something that the mind can obtain through much effort, although this is not the true knowledge, but only a mental aspect of knowledge, whereas wisdom does not at all belong to the mind, which is altogether incapable of obtaining it, because, in fact, it doesn't even know what it is. I repeat, wisdom is essentially a power of the spirit, and it can arise only with the spiritual consciousness. It would have been interesting to ask what Sri Aurobindo means when he speaks of the truth seen in a distorted medium. First of all, what is this distorted medium, and what does the truth become in a distorted medium? As always, what Sri Aurobindo says can have several levels of meaning. One is more specific, the other more general. In the most specific sense, the distorted medium is the mental medium, which works in ignorance and which is, therefore, unable to express truth in its purity. But since life as a whole is lived in ignorance, the distorted medium is also the earth atmosphere which, in its entirety, distorts the truth seeking to express itself through it. And here lies the most subtle point of this aphorism. What can the mind arrive at by groping? We know that it is always groping, seeking to know, erring, returning upon its previous attempts, and trying again. Its progress is very, very halting, but what can it grasp of the truth? Is it a fragment, a piece, something which is still the truth, but only partially, incompletely, or is it something which is no longer the truth? That is the interesting point. We are used to being told, perhaps we have also repeated many times, that one can only have partial, incomplete, fragmentary knowledge, which therefore cannot be true knowledge. This point of view is rather trite. One need only to have studied a little in life to be aware of it. However, what Sri Aurobindo means by the truth seen in a distorted medium is far more interesting than that. Truth itself takes on another aspect. In this medium, it is no longer the truth, but a distortion of the truth. Consequently, what can be seized of it is not a fragment which would be true, but an aspect, the false appearance of a truth which has itself melted away. I am going to give you an image to try to make myself understood. It is nothing more than an image. Do not take it literally. If we compare the essential truth to a sphere of immaculate, dazzling white light, we can say that in the mental medium, in the mental atmosphere, this integral white light is transformed into thousands and thousands of shades, each of which has its own distinct color because they are all separated from one another. The medium distorts the white light and makes it appear as innumerable different colors, red, green, yellow, blue, etc., which are sometimes very discordant. And the mind seizes not a little fragment of the white light of the white sphere, but a larger or smaller number of little lights of various colors, with which it cannot even reconstitute the white light. Therefore, it cannot reach the truth. It does not possess fragments of truth, but a truth that is broken up. It is a state of decomposition. The truth is a whole and everything is necessary. The distorted medium through which you see, the mental atmosphere, is unsuited for the manifestation or the expression or even the perception of all the elements, and one can say that the better part is lost. So it can no longer be called the truth, but rather something which in essence is true, and yet no longer so at all in the mental atmosphere. It is an ignorance. So to summarize, I shall say that knowledge as it can be grasped by the human mind is necessarily knowledge in ignorance. One could almost say an ignorant knowledge. Wisdom is the vision of truth in its essence and of its application in the manifestation. For more information about the Mother and Sri Aurobindo, please visit sriaurobindoashram.org.
So, I frame veganism as a journey home to who we really are, becoming compassionate to all life. Dr. Sailesh Krishna Rao, PhD, vegan.
Compassionate viewers, we thank you for your kind presence for today's episode of Words of Wisdom.